Don't you just love when you pull those perfect fabrics together and you know they're going to make a wonderful quilt? And then you get into some ideas about what pattern to use and how to best utilize the fabric designs and the colors. Well, this is that for me, and I am really excited to show you this quilt and how to make it. Check out behind me the 3 quilts back there. There's 3 different quilts all made with the same pattern, my Enchanting Paths pattern. The darker one with the fuchsia colors is all batik, and it's the bright batik bold prints in there, but there's also some batik low volumes to create that diagonal line that works so well in this pattern. And on the other side is a beautiful batik low volume with pastels, and it's a beautiful quilt, but yet it has a completely different look. And the focus is the design. That small 4 patch in there creates a beautiful diagonal. Now, front and center, check out that black and white fabric against those beautiful batiks. Oh my gosh, I am so excited about this quilt. I'm Leah Louise from Inspired Quilting by Leah Louise, and I am anxious to share this with you. It's a beautiful collection of fabrics. You may remember a week or so ago I was showing you some new fabrics and putting them together in bundles to decide which would go best together, and this is one of those. I'll include that link if you're interested. But also I want to show you the other quilts. There's still 2 more. This is the 5th one I've made with this pattern, and I'll put those links up above so you can find them. But I want you to see how easy it is to make these 4 patch blocks. It's all done with charm squares. This is a easy charm square quilting pattern you will love. But even better, you can make it with fat quarters, because that's what I did. I had my fat quarter collections. I cut down into charms what I needed, and then I continued and made the quilt accordingly. And it looks wonderful. So let's get started. I want to show you how to make this quilt, but first, you know the drill. Please subscribe and give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and share on social media. I would really appreciate that. So let's quilt. Just look at these glorious fabrics. Oh my goodness, they are so fantastic. This you'll probably remember, actually both groups of fabrics from, I don't know, about a week ago. I did a video on combining different groups, and this was a pair that I selected, and I hadn't decided on the pattern. Well, I have now. But this is the Spring Sherbet, the Hoffman Valley Batiks from the Fat Quarter Club. And this is a fabulous, fabulous group of batiks. And I like that it's all this modeled look. It's not a strong pattern or design, which works perfectly with these, because these really have a lot of pattern and design going on. This is the Allie K collection called Illustrations by Moda. This is wonderful. Oh my goodness, these prints are fantastic. Initially, I thought I was just going to use this. I had talked about having ordered a couple yards of just this one because I absolutely love it. And the more I looked, I thought this would be so much fun with all the black and white, and it would just play off on the pattern. So what I needed to do is find the pattern that's going to work, and I wanted it predominantly these, but I wanted this to be the accent, just to have lots of color throughout. Well, I do have a pattern that works really well for that, and it's called Enchanting Paths, and you've seen me pull this out before, and it's an alternating 4 patch. So what you do is make these nifty little 4 patches, and for each pair that you make, you get a pair of the same, except that they're opposite, they're reverse of each other. And what I want to show you is how this works. So there's 2 things we have to do. First, we start with some 5-inch squares. The entire quilt can be made with 5-inch squares if you just want to buy charm packs. Absolutely. And I know both of these are available in charm packs on the Fat Quarter Shop, because I saw them there when I was looking up different fabric things, of course. And they're just great fabric. So I started with a pile of my 5-inch. These were extras, so I'm going to add that to my pile. And then I needed 5-inch of the batiks. And you put a batik with a black and white, and this is going to be the beginning of our, of our 4-patch. Now, I just hate to fold this over. This just looks so pretty. I laid it out last night, and I usually get my fabric together at night, so when I'm up in the morning, I'm ready to go and kind of go with it. Otherwise, I linger too much in the morning. Mornings aren't my strong point, but we digress. So I need to put this away. I'll do that. We'll just kind of fold it over here. And I want to show you how this works because it's very, very simple. So you take your 2 fabrics, and in this case, I want to use 4 different colors. So I have 2 batiks, 1 for each corner, and I have 2 of the prints, 1 for each corner. But notice I'm going to have a white and a black. I didn't want my squares, to be all white or black. And so once we get here, I don't know, can we see? There's a good place. You can see where the seam is taken a 1/4 inch down each side. I've done some other demos on this, so a lot of you probably know how this works. There's also a free download on how to do this. There's a PDF file below. I'll add it down there. And it's like, shows pictures, like 6 steps from beginning to end, what you need to do. And so we sew this, and one thing to keep in mind when you make your seam, your squares are going to be cut really close to 5 inches, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But remember that when you sew, it cinches that fabric up just the littlest bit. So after you're sewing it, you may find it doesn't exactly fit in your 5-inch square. And what I do then is I'll just center it. If it's a little short here and there, I put it in the center, because what we want to do is cut this down the middle in line with the seams. So we sewed from top to bottom, we're going to cut from top to bottom. And I have a 2.5-inch ruler, so I can just line this up on my grid, and I know I'm good to go. So I've got this one, and now we'll do the same with this one. And I just kind of, and because I have a 2.5-inch ruler, I really don't have to use the grid, but just for the sake of accuracy and showing you how this works, I will. Now on all of these, what I did was press the seam to the black and white, whether it's the light or the dark one. And it really is not terribly important, because I'm going to show you in just a minute, when the seam gets put together, or excuse me, when the quilt gets put together, these seams don't match up anywhere. That is the beauty of this quilt, is that we do not have to match all these little fussy seams. Now, yes, the blocks themselves match up, but we don't have to go through and line up all these little guys. Now, as you recall, if you've done the 4-patch, you want to have it so, I got to do it the right way, so it turns out like this. So our batiks are opposite and our black and whites are opposite. So that means you don't want to sew it this way, because then we're going to lose our diagonal, and I'm going to show you that in here in just a moment. So here we go. What I'm going to do now is sew each of these in the same manner down each side, and this is the way it's going to look. So I want to have this laid out in that particular way, so we have opposites, and my seam's going to go towards that black and white, towards this black and white, and then we are going to nest this seam. Now here's what's wonderful about doing it this way. When you match up a seam from this edge, it's going to line up beautifully. And if you have to adjust it one way or the other, you have that flexibility, because you're not going to be throwing off your fabric square. You know how sometimes when you go to match up a seam and one might be a little longer than the other, and you sort of have to fudge your way through it. Well, what's nice about this is, even if you have to do that, this is the middle of your block. So when you cut this open, these ends may be a little bit off, but that's okay. It's all in the seam allowance. So this allows you to get really perfect points every time. And those corner points come together beautifully. So what we'll do is we'll sew down each side, and then I'm going to cut it. So let's say this is what this looks like. So I did my sewing. Let's see. Yeah, this way. I did my sewing like this. So I did my two sides right down there, and then I cut this in half. And that's where I open up and get my 4-patch. And just look at how well these fit together. I mean, they look wonderful. And so your quilt looks masterfully made because you know how to do a 4-patch the easy, quick, and accurate way. I tell you, I swear by this. This is the way I always do it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish quilting these. These are the last of the blocks that I need to make. I wanted to hold these aside just to show you, but I do want to show you how the quilt is coming along. So once the blocks are made, then we begin putting it together, and I chain piece it. Now I did sew these together, but I left a row on the chain piecing just so you could see how this works. But look at this wonderful diagonal. And you see how we have the black and white, but this diagonal follows along the entire quilt. So as you are piecing your quilt, there's a couple things to think about. First off, these squares are not 5 inches. Remember, we use two 5-inch squares to create this, but we have a seam this way and a seam this way. And this 1/4-inch seam twice removes 1/2 inch. This 1/4-inch seam twice removes 1/2 inch. So this block is 4.5 inches. So if you buy a charm pack, you're going to have to cut it down to 4.5 inches. Obviously you saw I had fat quarters. I used yardage, and this is a very simple and easy charm square quilt, but it can also be done with fat quarters. So you can grab all your fat quarters, pull them together, see what you have, and come up with some great, wonderful colors and patterns that go together. And you know, it's a great stash buster. Look at all the fabrics that I've used here. So I had 12 colors and I had 10 of the black and white. So that's 22 different fabrics. And I only made the baby quilt size in this, only because I wanted to get it done so I could show you. But I'm going to be making more blocks. This is going to be bigger. I love it. Okay, I'm trying not to say that all the time because I say it so much. I'm always saying I love it, but I really do. I love fabric. I love quilts. Now, let's get back to the important things. Laying it out. Notice that I alternate black and white. So this entire row is the white background. This entire row is the black background. I just want to point that out so you have some different ideas about putting the pattern together, putting your design elements, your colors, your prints, patterns in a way that you want to see them finish. Then the other thing I did is I made sure that this color, this diagonal, goes in the same direction throughout the entire quilt. So notice that this row is all the dark squares, this row is all the white, and then this is all the white. So it alternates. So this black does not touch another. This white does not touch another. So it really kind of balances things out. And there's a lot of busy stuff going on. And I find by placing the black and white together, it sort of evens things out. And that just worked really well. And then I just let these colors fall where they may. I did make an effort not to put two side by side, but I'm okay with two greens or, you know, whatever else may have come about. Those are blues, but they're different blues, so that's okay. So this is what the quilt is looking like. Isn't it wonderful? Oh my goodness, I just think it is so, so pretty. And there's a lot of color going on, but not too much. I mean, it really works well with this pattern, with these prints. The black and white obviously is the dominant, but these colors just work so well to pull it all together and just add that spark of color and that contrast that we really need in the quilt. So I hope you have some wonderful, wonderful ideas for this. There's some great opportunities. This quilt is, gosh, it's the number 5. I've made 5 of these. And what I can do is I'll put links to all those videos here. And you can look because each one is completely different because of the different colors and the different patterns and the designs in the fabric. You really don't identify them as the same because there's such a strong difference in the fabrics. But I'm excited. I'm anxious to show this to you. Let me go add the last row on. I've got to get these blocks put together, and I'll add it onto the bottom. And then this quilt is finished, and I'll show you what it looks like. So excited you're here. Can't wait to show you. And here she is. Isn't that pretty? Oh, this quilt just turned out beautiful. I'm really, really excited. And I hope you get a chance to make it. There's multiple sizes. It's so easy. It goes quickly. And I just absolutely adore this quilt. So go ahead and get some fabrics together, pull it all in a pile, see what you like best, and let's make a quilt. Be sure to post your quilts and your fabric selections on Instagram at #LeahLouiseQuilts. And if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And do make sure you share the video on social media. That'll go a long ways to help me. You know, I'm shooting for my 10,000. I'm almost at 6,000. I'm really, really close. So it shouldn't take too much longer. And with your help, I know I can do it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. I so appreciate you being here.